Bit of an emergency here today. Another truck is being dropped off and it doesn't have any fenders or doors on it. And so we gotta go to the junkyard here and conjure up a set of front fenders and doors for this thing. And unfortunately, it's looking pretty bleak here. Looks like these are the fenders we're gonna have to use, and they're in the junkyard for a reason. Pretty hammered up, and this one is really hammered up. So we got our work cut out for us. That's not very good at all. Not looking too good here. And the door situation is even worse. We got this thing here. It's missing part of the structure, and somehow we have to turn that into something that looks like a door. Trigger warning here, if you're one of them highfalutin types that thinks everything and anything needs to be done 100% by the book and do it properly and all this junk, you know, don't even watch this video. Just spare us your whining and complaining and nonsense. Now this is not a good fender, obviously. It's not even a bad fender. This is literally scrap metal at this point. But rather than haul it off to the metal recycling bin and have it shipped overseas and turned into some useless disposable appliance, we can kind of revive it and make it look like something again. We can have some fun. The challenge here is just see how decent we can make this look without spending any time or money on it. So that's the goal here. This headlight area here is all been shredded and then leaded over. They didn't even weld it. They just kind of leaded over all the cracks, and then it's been wrecked again and repaired, and then wrecked and repaired and wrecked and repaired. This area here, big dent there, and it's all full of lead in here. There's got to be, like, I don't know, at least a 1/4 inch of lead, if not more, all through here. So it's just, it's garbage. That's all there is to it. So what's happened here is I've just kind of forcefully jammed the headlight bucket in here, and it's now become a permanent structural membrane. And we're just going to continue forcing and manipulating this outer metal to fit into here, or, you know, not really fit, but, you know, go to somewhere where it resembles a fender, I guess, is what I'm saying. So unfortunately this project is already snowballing a little bit. I'm going to have to melt out the lead around here. It's just so thick, and like see, this is all bulged out here, and I can't like hammer it in because it's actually like almost the thickness of the lead there. And I don't know, we're getting fussy now. I just don't want like I don't want to look at that in my front yard. We're not melting any of the lead out of this mess. This is just going to be what it is, but, you know, I can't just, it's so thick that you know, like I can't even just hammer it in and make it low or whatever. Like, it's, as I've said in the past, I don't think any of these repairs on this fender were done by an actual body shop. This is just somebody who loved to waste time and materials, because I don't think lead's ever been like very cheap. And to just, yeah, some of these repairs just defy logic, and I've seen a lot of illogical repairs over the years. You know, like this is just, you can't have that. Can't have that even if it's lawn art. It's just unacceptable. I don't know if that's a good sign, you know, after you remove the previous repair, that the panel actually ends up looking better. It doesn't have that huge mound to it anymore. But we'll have to do a little more hammering there, and then I think I'm going to call it quits on this one. An old coach builder taught me this trick for filling in holes like this. All you do is you just take yourself a carriage bolt and you run it in there. Put a nut and washer on the back. Once you get done struggling with hardware for 30 minutes, then you just take this thing and you just take your hammer and you just tap it down. Tap, tap, tap. I need to just grind down anything that's still protruding to the surface. Well, I mean, if you stand like way back here and look at it from like this angle, it actually doesn't even look half bad. Like it almost looks like a fender. Anyways, I've decided that I've wasted enough time on this already. So it's product time. You might be saying, well, why even bother putting, you know, product on here? Well, this is going to be getting parked outside in my yard, and so last thing I want is some child running their hand across here and cutting it on all these jagged edges or something. You know, it's bondo for the children, folks. Don't get angry at me. It's all for the children. What we're doing here now is just sculpting our way to victory. Put the old headlight ring on here, and we're just filling out to that. Just really pushing it in around here so we can get it gapped out totally perfectly. This seems like a hack way of doing it, but this is how they do the Riddler cars, and so it's good enough for a Riddler car. It's good enough for a truck that's going to be sitting in my yard. Well, now we get to fix the good fender. This is the good fender. I don't even know what this is. This is what they call the valley of shame. Old lead repair here. We're not going to be digging into that. Better to just leave that alone, I think. Well, what's happened here is that common sense has started to work, and I've also kind of lost interest in this project. Well, not lost interest, but just, you know, reevaluating my priorities here. The plan was to like sand these all down nice. I started sanding this fender down and like half-heartedly bodywork them out so it kind of looks like something, and then throw a coat of primer over the entire surface of all the panels as well as the truck and the doors and everything else. And I just really don't think that's a good use of my time at the moment. So basically all we're going to do is just kind of spot prime the repair areas. I'm not even going to bother doing any body work on this fender because we're already like running low on materials, and rather than invest a bunch of time and money in materials to make the truck look better, I would rather put that towards actually making it drive so that, you know, I can move it in and out of my yard and off my lawn so that I can cut my grass. So I think having a truck that's actually mobile is more important than having one that, you know, looks like a junky old truck that somebody slapped a coat of primer on. So that's the plan there. And I also think it's kind of funny that this truck's going to be like 18 different colors and all scummy and yellow and whatever. So that'll be kind of fun. And we can always come back and reevaluate and spruce it up later. But I think priority now is just bolt it back together, get it running, get it so it moves, and then we'll worry about cosmetics in future, you know. Sure. Oh, we need some kind of an inner fender, and this is the one that came off the truck. It's quite mangled, and it's torn and has some additional bracketry here. I thought I had a better one, but the better one is like, well, it has the exact same collision damage up front, but all the bolts aren't sheared off here, and it doesn't have the weird stuff going on back here, at least not as bad. So I guess that's what we have to work with. Definitely not great. I don't even know what to say here. This is the door project. Now I have a usable passenger door, but this is what I got for a driver's door. We got this skin here, which is slightly decayed, and then we got this heavily decayed, you know, inner panel here that's also missing a few critical components and quite crusty and rusty, but that's okay. I'm not trying to make this into like a good door or even a bad door. I just want something that kind of looks like a door for now. I want to go out and spend a couple $100 on a better door that's actually usable. At this point, I just want something that's on there that kind of resembles a door. So that's all we're doing here, is just trying to take this and this passenger door skin and make a complete-ish door, or something that kind of could pass off as a door from a distance. So my MIG welder is out of gas, and so what I'm going to do here is just use the TIG welder and silicon bronze rod to kind of stitch this door bottom on. And I'm not seam welding it, I'm just kind of stitching it every ½ inch or so, kind of a short pass here and there and everywhere to hold it on. And the other reason for doing it this way is I also wanted a traditional appearing, brazed repair like they used to do back in the day. That way in the future, like 100 years from now, when bodywork archaeologists are uncovering this, they're gonna have to do a lot of puzzling to try and pinpoint the date of when this door was butchered together. Then I'm going to seal up the rest of the seam using lead. I chose lead for this repair because primarily because it's offensive, and also because I don't have any fiberglass here, and I'm certainly not going to go to the store and buy some. So that's what we used. And the other main reason is, again, we're giving the future bodywork archaeologists something to puzzle over as to when this repair was completed. In my opinion, lead needs to be applied to a fully welded seam with no pinholes. So this is a huge no-no in my books anyways, at least if you want a long-lasting repair. I know the factory did it this way on their quarter panel seams and stuff like that, but those usually rust out in between the seam eventually. And so, it's never the lead itself that fails, just like it's not the plastic filler that fails, it's what's underneath that fails. But in this case, we're just messing around and wasting time, having fun, doing a science project, and all that stuff. So it doesn't matter. We can do whatever we want with this. everyone's favorite time. It's product time. Scary thing is, you know, from far away, this door actually is starting to look not even like it's complete garbage. Alrighty, I got our main fill coat down to sculpt this thing out. Now we'll flood over the ocean floor, and whatever we have after that is what it's going to be. I mean, like, what are we even doing here with our life? I don't know. And there you go, the ocean floor is all flooded out. And concerning part is like, you know, we're only a couple coats of high build primer away from having a door that would actually look pretty dang good if it was painted, which is definitely a bit concerning, not just, you know, because of the butchery underneath, but because of how I've chosen to spend my time here. You know, I don't even think we have like a full day's work into this. And this started out, well, you saw, it was 2 different doors. The skin was off, the bottom was completely gone. This thing was complete garbage, and it still is. Like, don't get me wrong, it's garbage. But you can kind of see, you know, if we were to use our forces for evil, you know, people would be in trouble. But like, this is what people do on like the auction cars and stuff. Like, they hammer them together, so you gotta really, I guess, watch out for that kind of thing. I know what you're saying. Well, I'm a smart consumer. I'll just bring a magnet with me when I go to check out this car I want to buy. It's got a really nice paint job on it, so I'll just check it with my magnet here. Well, let's have a look here what our magnet tells us. I think the repair area was like through here somewhere. Pretty well sticks to the whole door. It's a little weak through here, but it still wants to stick. So there's definitely some product in this area too, but like that's still holding on. So I don't know. The best magnet for, I guess, checking for a filler is just a refrigerator magnet, but even that, you know, there's obviously filler here. That sticks. It's not going to stick down here. So that would tell you something. But you know, there's still filler. It still sticks to that filler. So even there, just kind of. The only place where the refrigerator magnet doesn't stick is, you know, right in here where we're we've got a lot more product on it, but you know, so buyer beware, I guess is what I'm saying. Check out the gap on the headlight ring now, hey? Wow. Anybody from the Autorama is watching, you know, you can just send me my Riddler award in the mail. That'll be just fine. I just brushed on some Rustoleum over this. I got 2 coats on this fender and just got the first coat on the door, so we'll have to put another coat on this right away. It's been setting up overnight. I guess you heard me right. We just did a bunch of body work and we just brushed Rustoleum on it. So, you know, I certainly have my priorities straight. You know, the best part about this channel is we get to troll everyone. No one is safe. You know, we get to troll the anti-metal finishing crowd, the anti-bondo crowd, the don't park your car in the garage for some reason crowd. There's people that are apparently upset that I park my car in the garage. And of course the clean your shop crowd. Lots of those out there. And of course we can't forget the, oh, you can't use cheap materials crowd. No one is safe from the Kyle troll. No one. So the truck's not here yet, but we've at least got the panels ready to go on it now. Sad thing is, junk like this usually lasts quite a while, and I guess what's the worst that happens is the filler cracks and falls out. We just have to reapply the filler. You know, you certainly wouldn't want to be putting a nice paint job over any of this, but like really, you know, I guess for, you know, a couple afternoons of work, you got some stuff that actually looks like how it's supposed to, and that'll certainly make the truck look halfway decent. Just for the record though, like if you haven't been watching for a while, like there's not too much that I won't fix or try to fix, but this stuff was just, it was beyond any kind of proper repair, even like a half-hearted repair. It was just, it's just, there's a point where it's just too far gone, and that's where this stuff was. Just repaired multiple times. This whole headlight area was just shredded and torn to pieces. There's not even any metal left to weld to. And sure, you could cut it off and, you know, graft on the front of another fender, but why wouldn't you just fix the other fender at that point? And this door, if you remember right, this came off the 1948 GMC, and this truck sat like outside under trees for at least 50 years, buried. And, you know, I thought it was, at first it was just the door bottom that was gone, so we were going to use it on our chicken truck project and section it and modify it and whatever. So I de-skinned it so I could start that process, and found out that the whole inner structure of the door, all the sheet metal, everything is just right on the verge of being like non-existent basically. Like if we were to strip all the rust off this, it would just look like Swiss cheese. And you can see like some areas here where we started to kind of clean up, and it's just all pinholes, and just there's nothing left of any of this, even around the top of the door. It's all rotted. So there's just, it wasn't going to work for that truck, which we're actually trying to make halfway decent, which also started as complete garbage, but not as much garbage as this. So again, this was going in the scrap metal bin. That's just all there is to it. But now we've made it back into something again, and like I'm curious to see how long this convoluted nonsense here will actually hold up for. I think, you know, if you kept it inside and dry and didn't drive it in the winter, you know, it would probably hold up for quite a while. But we're going to leave it outside in the yard. This is an outside door now. Now that I've actually decided to use this door and got kind of carried away with it, I am going to still have to find a latch and a handle for it at a junkyard, as well as patch this in and cobble it together that way. But that's another problem for another day. But I wasn't planning on actually going this far with it. I just wanted, you know, something that kind of looked like a door. But now that we've got, you know, a day of work into it, I figured, you know what, might as well use it. Like I said, if you keep this stuff clean and dry, it lasts a surprisingly long time. And you know, if we sealed up the backside and sprayed a bunch of wax oil and junk in it, it would probably last even longer, you know, probably longer than we would need it to even. But I guess there's a point when like the hack job, if the hack job takes longer than doing an actual proper repair, then you might as well just do a proper repair. But in this case, we have a door here. It didn't really cost us a whole lot. And it'll look decent for a while anyways, or at least as good as it needs to for sitting around in my yard being yard art. This fender repair, I did go in and I sealed up the backside with some JB Weld where it was all cracked and split. So I don't know if that's going to help or not, but it just seemed like something to do. You know, I just got just so much time on my hands for doing this kind of thing, but we'll see. I don't know. Filler cracks and falls out, it falls out. You know, it's usually a pretty slow burn, you know, when the filler does start to crack. So we'll, I guess, keep checking in on this when we get it on the truck and just see how it holds up. I'm actually working on starting up an ancient bodywork preservation society where this kind of thing is, you know, studied and analyzed and preserved for future generations to discover and enjoy. I really think, you know, maybe in 100 or 200 years time, there's going to be a whole division of archaeologists that will be like discovering and exploring bad old collision repairs and old rust repairs and old restoration work. It's going to be a real thing, and there's going to be like, you know, these days everybody just, it really breaks my heart. You know, I see people just stripping off bondo and stripping the whole panel back down to bare metal, and all of that history, all of those old repairs are lost. People just get rid of it, you know, they freak out and they don't want to preserve it. But, you know, I really think it needs to be preserved and enjoyed and discovered and studied. What I'm working towards with my Ancient Bodywork Preservation Society is in the future going forwards, you know, when somebody finds a crummy old repair, instead of destroying it, what we're going to have them do is we're going to have them register with us, and that old repair is actually going to be listed as like a scheduled monument, and there's going to be limitations as to what they can remove and what they can't remove, just in the interest of preserving that repair and the craftsmen who did their work. So I guess that's something to look forward to going forwards, and something that we've been working quite hard on lately to try and, you know, deal with all the paperwork and such that goes along with that. But, you know, maybe, you know, from now on, instead of completely stripping off all the old bodywork, we'll have like a limitation as to what can be stripped off. You know, like in archaeology, you're only allowed to just dig a certain amount of test pits and have your trenches a certain dimension. So maybe, you know, just where it's cracked, you're allowed to dig away maybe 1 to 2 inches away from that area and just refill it, so that the rest of the repair remains undisturbed, and again, it can be discovered and enjoyed by future generations. Before you sick Uncle Tony on me and have some like used car flipper nightmare, look at what this hack job is doing, ripping people off. I'm not selling these panels, obviously, or the truck that they're on. These will be with me until I die or I scrap this stuff. But I do think it's pretty funny, you know, in the future, somebody digging into this and discovering this convoluted repair that we did here. And, you know, not to mention the previous convoluted repair on the fender and the layers and all that, and trying to puzzle together what was done. Yeah, it's kind of a waste of time to spend 2 or 3 days, you know, patching this junk together for no real reason when I could just go out and buy better panels. But, you know, it's the future people digging into this stuff. That's what I think about when I'm doing it, you know. Yeah, it's a couple days of my time, but, you know, somebody in the future is going to be puzzling over this pretty hard. I have a theory that a lot of the ancient civilizations and, you know, the people who lived in them and built all these elaborate things, you know, Stonehenge and the pyramids and all that stuff, you know, they were just like really dedicated practical jokers. You know, they were willing to spend literally generations building these huge elaborate things just so that for thousands of years people would try to figure out what it was for and argue about it and come up with all these crazy theories. And still today, they're still trying to figure out what it's all about. And all it was just an elaborate prank. People had a lot more time on their hands back then, I guess, and were a lot more committed to the joke. So, you know, if I gotta spend a couple days, you know, on this, patch it together, and somebody in 50, 60 years from now will be wondering what the heck I was on when I did this, you know, I think that's the joke. That's a win in my book. Forgot to give an update on this fender here. I guess technically this fender is actually repairable. Trouble is, we discovered it's actually an aftermarket fender from back in the day, so the shape isn't quite right, the metal's quite a bit thinner, and it's also very rusty. So while it's still repairable, I figured instead of putting a bunch of time and effort into this and just have an aftermarket fender, I might as well just buy a brand new aftermarket fender. This is going to end up being a two-part episode. Originally, I wanted to get everything in one episode where we actually bolt this stuff on the truck and get it all put together and possibly get the truck running, but the truck's not here yet, and this episode's getting pretty long even without my long-winded rambling. So we'll just split it up into two episodes. I realize this kind of butchery isn't for everyone, and it's not the kind of thing we do around here on a regular basis, and we're not going to start doing it on a regular basis, but every now and then it's kind of fun. I think I already mentioned it, but most of the time doing it right, or at least for me anyways, doing a proper job usually ends up being faster than doing a convoluted, half-hearted repair. But in this case, this was the only way to save these panels from going in the crusher. So that's what we did. And if you think this kind of thing is fun, well, then we can probably be friends. I totally get it if you're opposed to this kind of stuff and you just completely put off by it, that's totally fine. I'm not going to hold that against you, and nobody wants to buy, a vehicle that's got bad repairs in it. That's always a disappointment. General rule of thumb that I use is if the vehicle doesn't have original paint on it, then it's going to have some old bad repairs in it. People don't just put paint jobs on vehicles for no reason. There's going to be something hiding, and is that always a bad thing? Well, it depends on what you're trying to do with it. If you're just going to drive it, then I say just keep driving it. This car had a quarter panel lap brazed on it when it was almost probably a new car. So it's been in there for probably over 40 years now. And what am I going to do about that? Absolutely nothing. I'm just going to keep driving it. This car here has some pretty ferociously bad old fender repairs and some filler here and there. And what am I going to do about that? Absolutely nothing. I'm just going to drive it as is because I don't care. It looks presentable, kind of, and it's not affecting the structural integrity of the vehicle, so I'm just going to drive it and enjoy it. Anyways, thanks for watching, and huge shout out to all the patrons of the show for supporting us. It really does help out, as well as all the people sending in the super thanks and super chats. And our PayPal is now working again, at least as of today, it's still working. So everyone who's been sending in donations through that, I really appreciate it, and it does help, so much to allow me to continue doing these videos, especially, as I said before in the last episode, during the summer months, the views on YouTube really go down, so it makes it very difficult for me to continue producing videos. And I realize we're kind of, we're behind schedule again on the chicken truck, as well as some of our other projects. We're supposed to be further along on that stuff. We're getting into it, but spring comes, the snow leaves, and suddenly there's a whole bunch of other stuff that has to get done. So we are working our way, getting things done slowly to get back on the projects that you're actually here for. But in the meantime, I hope you're enjoying whatever it is we're doing, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you.